What would you do if someone pulled a knife on you? Would you freeze? Would you run? Or would you fight back? Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to turn the tables safely and effectively. This could save your life. Let's check it out. The techniques I'm about to teach you come straight from my Control and Conquer video series, available for sale on my website at sammyfranco.com. And if you're a War Machine Elite member, you can watch the full series in the members only section of this channel. But there's even more. I'm also releasing exclusive bonus video content for my War Machine Vanguard and Elite members, so head on over to the members only section of this channel to check it out. And if you're not already a War Machine member, click the join button below to check out the different membership options we have to offer. Two things. Always train with a training knife. Never use a real blade when performing knife defense techniques. Number two, always remember that you only apply a knife disarm if you have no other choice. If he wants your possessions, if he wants your car, if he wants to insult you, let him have it. The only time you try to disarm this is if you have no other choice and your life is on the line. Remember that. So in my previous videos, I talked about the two different types of knife assaults, static and dynamic. Tommy, come on out. So from a dynamic attack, I'm further away from Tommy and I'm slashing at him. Okay, so there's range. I have the long range and I'm slashing, or I would do a mad rush and start pumping the blade into him. This is a dynamic assault. Now this video is going to be covering the static assault. This is where I'm holding him up at knife point. For example, I may be holding it against his body, or I may be holding it within proximity of his arms, and it's not moving wildly. It's not moving with reckless abandon. So again, we're talking about a static assault. Now, I covered in another video, my gun disarming video, I mentioned the 12 assault positions. The same thing applies to having a knife. There are 12 assault positions. For example, this would be assault position 1, this is 2, this is 3. Okay, because there are 3 height levels. There are 4 sides of the body, 4 times 3 is 12. So there's 12 assault positions. And again, we're only going to cover the first assault position as assault position number 1, possibly 2 depending on time. But as we all know, there's very limited attention spans on YouTube, so we'll see how far we can get today. So it's important to understand, as I mentioned in the previous gun disarming video, you need to establish or try to establish the intent. Tommy, come on out. Tommy holds me up at knife point. What does this guy want from me? Does he want my possessions? Does he want my car? Does he want my life? Does he want my dignity? Does he want to demean me in some way? You have to determine what he wants. Now, if he wants your possessions, I've always said this, don't fight for your possessions, give him what he wants. But when your life is on the line, that's when you need to fight back. So we've already established that he's going to take my life, and we're going to proceed with a knife disarm technique. We're going to start with being held up at knife point on the throat. We call this assault position 1. Now, just because it's against the throat, it doesn't mean that you can't perform the disarm when it's away from the throat, but it's got to be at this height level and it needs to be within the arm's reach. So this is what I call assault position number 1. Tommy holds me up. The first thing I do is I shrug my shoulders and I slowly raise my hand to the height of the weapon. Again, does this seem redundant? Does this seem familiar? It should, because this is the exact same response when being held up at gunpoint. And that's the beauty of this. They overlap. So when you work on your gun disarming technique, you're working on your knife disarming technique, which is an excellent way of learning how to respond in a high stress situation. Tommy holds me up. Hands come up, shoulders come up. We want to telegraph it, right? We never want to do any sudden, fast, jerky movements because he can cut. So we raise the hands up, shoulders come up, raise the hand to the height of the weapon. Now, what I want to do is I want to engage in some sort of dialogue. Again, this is the same thing with gun disarming. I want to have some sort of talk, some sort of conversation, some sort of way to distract him. So we'll try this. Tommy, hold me up, establish what you want. You're going to take me
Man, I'm going to take you out.
Okay, so my hands come up, height of the weapon. First thing I want to do is I need to engage in some conversation. What do you want from me?
Come on, we're going over here.
Why are we going anywhere?
We're going.
Okay, so notice how I asked the question And when he responds, and that moment of response is when I attempt the disarm. Now, we're going to go back to the disarm in a second, but I just want you to see the moment of opportunity. Okay, Tommy, so let's try it from this angle. It'd be better for them. So what we want to do is we want to raise our hands up to the height of the weapon. Now, remember, when you do that, the shoulders come up to telegraphic, the hands come up. Now, this has to happen simultaneously. We have to redirect the weapon, move the target out of the line of the cut, and control the weapon. So in one motion, again, engage in dialogue, try to distract him, create a pattern interrupt. When he is responding, that is when we actually make the move. So we're going to redirect it, move our target out of the line of the cut, and control him. Now, we do not disarm the weapon. We need to weaken him with strikes. We have headbutts, we have knee strikes, and you're going to do it repeatedly until he is weak. After that, that is when we attempt the disarm. And when we do the disarm, we actually are neutralizing him in the process. What we come up here, we grab the fingers, we line our fingers up with his, and we flex down. We have to hold this wrist to allow this flexing to occur. From here, we slash across his throat, and we pump the blade into the throat or into other vital target areas. So again, one motion, we have to redirect it, move our target out of the line of the cut, and control the weapon. Soften him up, knee strikes, headbutts, flex, slash, repeatedly stab. That is the disarming process. So some finer points on the disarming technique. When you grab the wrist and you line your fingers up with his, it's almost like inserting your fingers into a glove. You could feel it go into the indentations, and this really gives you some real good control. Now, again, you must isolate that wrist and then flex down. So Tommy, can you come up with that?
No.
He can't come up with that at all. Now, when you slash across the throat and you pump the blade, let's back out a little bit here so you can see us. It's important to pump it, but follow him. So I'm not just pumping it like this. I'm pushing forward, I'm rushing him as I'm pumping it in. Because what's gonna happen is as soon as I'm in this position, he's gonna be backing out. Tommy, back out. And if I'm out here, he's gonna have some ability to counter me. He can throw that fist if he wants. Now, a lot of you guys often refer to the idea that he can punch you with his free hand. Yes, of course he can punch you when you're struggling with a knife, when you're committing both hands to one. That is always a possibility, but you have to prioritize your defense. There's a lot of things that can happen in the course of a fight. So when this happens, and I'm gonna slash across and I'm gonna drive this into his stomach, I anticipate that he's gonna resist and I anticipate that he's gonna back out. So I follow and I pump the blade as he backs up. Very important, because you have to understand, there is energy in a combative encounter. Also, let's talk about what happens to his mental state. You have a guy who's a criminal who's holding you up at knife point. This guy is not trained in self-defense. He hasn't studied RBSD. The only thing he knows in his mind is you hold him up at knife point and the guy's gonna give you what he wants, or you're gonna comply with him and go to another location, or he's gonna kill you somewhere else. He's never thought about what happens when there's a struggle and the person that he's attacking or confronting is really highly trained. So imagine the circuitry in his brain that's going haywire now when you respond with very calculated precision moves and you train it under stress. Imagine what that does to him from a psychological perspective. He never anticipated this. He never expected this. He is in complete recovery mode. He's trying to understand what's happening to him. And you already have a mental blueprint that you've practiced and trained ad nauseum. Who is really going to survive this encounter? So Tommy and I have been training with knives, but we've never covered this particular type of knife assault. So I'm going to let him come out here and let him show me how he would respond to being held up at knife point. Tommy, come on out. So we'll start with the dialogue. So listen, pal, so you're not even responding.
No.
Why is that?
As soon as I felt the knife, I felt like I had to respond.
Okay, so you didn't feel there was a need to engage in dialogue and try to distract?
No, I just wanted to get it away from me, is my first thought.
Okay, so obviously this is something that I do not believe in. Now, here's the thing. This is my philosophy. Okay, if I held Tommy up at knife point, could I have cut him by now? I certainly could have, but I did not. So there is something that I do want from him. So that is the window of opportunity that I see present that I want to exploit. But because of Tommy doesn't have this training. Tommy is wired differently. He's law enforcement. So he's going to respond differently. But me teaching you as the student, if you want to increase your odds of surviving, Applying these different distraction techniques makes a difference, a huge difference in terms of survivability. Most importantly, when a predator holds you up at knife point, that initial moment when the blade first touches you or gets super close to you is when he's most alert and he's expecting resistance. He's on edge and he's ready to react violently. That's exactly why attempting a disarm at that point can be incredibly dangerous. Remember, timing and strategy are everything. So Tommy, let's try it again. Let's try to do the dialogue and see if you can get through that part. Again, this is a psychological barrier for him, okay? And this is what's great about this training is it helps work him through it, okay? Say, pal, you and I are gonna take a little walk.
Where do we gotta go?
Okay, so he's raising his hands up to the height of the weapon. Now he should be angling his body because remember, when you respond to a knife disarm, there's gonna be struggle, there's gonna be fighting. So if you have both feet side by side like this and you raise your hands up, you're not in a position to fight the struggle. You want to angle your body. And again, it's a subtle position. So you and I are going to take a little walk, pal.
Where do
so
you
he
want to
angles
go?
his body, his hands up to the height of the weapon.
Where do you want to go?
We're going to go down. Okay, so that's a lot better, okay? I didn't expect the disarm at that point, to be honest with you. And he actually moved the weapon from his throat. Excellent technique. But you have to understand, you need to change your mental wiring when dealing with held at knife point. And I know it's a very daunting task and you just want to get that threat away from you. But applying these different principles can make a huge difference in the odds of surviving the encounter. Remember, knowledge is power, but only if you put it into practice. Stay sharp, stay prepared, and train like your life depends on it, because one day it just might. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next video.